Everybody, this is Asia Baisunya Day coming to you guys today with my partner James Alexander Oates.
Hello.
Who also has a YouTube channel, and today we're doing a collab. So we went online on Facebook and some social medias.
All across the platforms.
Yeah, and we asked everybody to send us some questions, and we would do a question and answer, a Q&A. And then we're gonna try and start doing this more often throughout the year, and then just do like a
semi-regular, yeah,
something more like
exactly.
that. So either way, so we're doing questions and answers today, and then we will just try and stay on top of the question and go over it quickly and like briefly and concise and as candid as possible. And then from that point forward, we'll just move on to another question, because we definitely got a good amount of questions and we're pretty happy with the questions, right? They're pretty
Definitely,
good.
yeah.
So either way,
An excellent start.
yeah, pretty good, pretty good. So we are going to begin with the first question now, and you want to take it over?
All right. So this question comes from Ernest on Facebook, and Ernest asks, "What is palo mayombe? Can anyone practice it, and is it evil?" Now, just to kind of dive in, if those of you who don't know, palo mayombe is a tradition of an African religion. It's a practice of the Bantu people that comes from the Congo area of Africa that really took root alongside Ocha or Santeria or Lukumi in Cuba. And the two traditions kind of developed simultaneously. What can be said about Palo and the Palo spirits, the Congo spirits, is that they're very hot, they're very heated, they're very tempestuous and fiery to some degree. And you find that a lot throughout the Palo tradition itself. The second part of the question, can anyone practice it? It really depends. Not everything is for every person. And so when someone finds themselves drawn to Palo, I think it's for a very specific reason, and that reason tends to kind of be that person either has a connection to the Congo spirits already, somehow within their spiritual frame, or it's just simply as something that they need right now, or in their life, or there's a connection that needs to be forged there. But how you get to that relationship is always the same, and it's through a priest, a palero or a palera, a person that already has ngangas, that already has that established relationship with the Congo spirits, and then they will do the divination for you. That basically is asking the primary nganga of the Munansu, or the spiritual house, whether or not you're accepted into the Munansu or spiritual house. And then from that, your main Mpungo is marked, and you begin your relationship with your godparent and the Congo spirits simultaneously. And so, is it evil? I would say that it's my belief that none of the ATRs have such a dichotomized conception of good and evil like you see in Christianity and the Judeo religions, the Abrahamic religions. Nature itself is a gradient of balance. So within nature you have death and destruction that comes as the end of the natural cycle of things. And I think that same vein very much so runs inherently throughout a lot of the ATRs. And so you don't see the Orisha, you especially don't see the Mpungo in such a manner that this is an entity that is only associated with goodness or something that's light, and then this is something that's associated with evil or darkness, or things that I guess could be considered of like the left-hand path there. I think all of the spirits of the ATRs, all of the deities of the ATRs, very much so accomplish both sides of that spectrum very well and very effectively. And I think that's why a lot of people seek out these traditions. So, do you want to go on for the... Did you have anything to add to that question before we can move on to the next one?
No, I really liked his answer overall, and I think he pretty much covered everything. And Pablo just has like Ocha, as to some degree, Pablo has been misinterpreted to some degree by people and or actions, but what he answered was pretty good and I really enjoyed it. And yeah, so we're gonna move on to the next question.
All right,
Next
awesome.
question. Okay, so the next question is also by Ernest from Facebook, and he asks, do the altar supplies cost a lot? Okay, so first of all, I think that because you're misinterpreting altar wise, but if you're thinking about like a witch's altar in which you have like a thami and pentacles and chalice and things and whatever, that is all of those tools cost money. If you're thinking of a Santeria altar, everything that goes on the altar does cost money. Crowns cost money, mazos cost money, soperas cost money, receiving the orisha costs money. I mean, so that is you should probably elaborate further on that question next time when you ask it, but like everything costs money to some degree. And when it comes to Ocha, there are different orishas that have different paraphernalia that goes along with them. And in order to even receive that orisha, different amounts of money may be spent in gathering supplies and everything for that one ceremony, to then finish with a physical physicality or physical representation of the orisha, which is then your shrine, which then still takes money to decorate it and to brighten it up or to add different things with time. So everything costs money. It just depends on what you're spending your money on, and it depends on what your personal interests are, either way. So when you are someone who practices, like myself, who practices type of religion, I don't mind spending money in soperas or in beads or in things or whatever, because I enjoy it either way. So it's either I spend it on that or I spend it on something else. So everything costs money. And then also depending on your budget, you may buy a more expensive sopera or a cheaper sopera or an in between or something. Everybody has different soperas that have cost them.
Kind of taste.
That is taste, and that has cost them different amounts of money. So money should not be a focus when it comes to the spirituality aspect of anything. And in witchcraft and all those things and all those traditions, people also say not to bargain for your tools or anything. Like if that is your tool that is calling to you, you should just save and buy it if you don't have the money at that point. So
yeah, do altar supplies cost a lot? I mean, I would definitely say within the African traditional religions, like altar itself may be not the most like appropriate word in like I guess it could still translate the same. I guess my point is like, just like in witchcraft, an altar can be as simple or as elaborate as the practitioner themselves like wants it to be. So I mean, cost is just like a matter of like taste to some degree. Again, once you begin initiation and begin developing that relationship within the ATRs, there are things that just simply cost money, just like, in pretty much every other aspect of the world that we can conceive of today. So Ernest asks, what books would you recommend?
Okay, so as we had spoken earlier about that particular question, what I want to tell you is there's a lot of books out there, period. There's a lot of books on Santeria, there's a lot of books on Orisha. You can go to Amazon.com and you just type in those words, Orisha or Santeria, and a lot of books are going to show up. So the point being, this is not a religion that is based on books. This is a religion that is learned and that is handed down, and that you learn based on the house or the people that are teaching you or that you're surrounding yourself with. It's a religion of community. It doesn't matter what books I say or name or you read or anything. Reading 50 books on Ocha does not give anybody an initiation and does not give anybody a title. It does not make anybody a part of the community. So the point being, reading a book is just for the simple pleasure of gathering knowledge and expanding your understanding of different topics. But at the end of the day, Ocha is not based on books, and Ocha is learned from godparent to godchild, and from member of the house to member of the house. It's an interactive thing and community based. type of religion. You go through your steps and your protocols and your things, and then you are elevated from one degree to the other, from one title to the other. Reading books, any book that you pick up that has anything to do with ATR, that has to do with Orisha, with Santeria, with Lukumi, Ifa, anything, it's always just going to be for the embetterment of your understanding of the religion, but it'll always have its different flavor based on the house and or the people that you're practicing the religion with. You want to add anything?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say to some degree, I feel like the majority of the information on the ATRs can be repetitive. To some capacity, like it may be the same primary source, if you will. Do we need to like it's the same source, it's just interpreted a little differently. And what I have found, like the most valuable source of information within these traditions is the information that's disseminated directly from the godparent to the godchild. So within that you have like notes, notebooks, ebos, experiences, and that is ultimately like the most precious like source of information that you could get your hands on, if you will, within these traditions.
Okay, so next question, still by Ernest. We have 7 questions from Ernest. So, right? Yeah, 7 questions from Ernest. So the next question from this Ernest from Facebook is Santeria evil? No, Santeria is not evil. Santeria has had in the past many misrepresentations on TV and things like that. There are thousands, millions of people who practice Santeria. Obviously, we are practitioners of this religion too, also known as Lukumi or Ifa, Orisha or ATRs or whatever way that we're pronouncing it or saying, people wanting to call it. But Santeria is not evil, and obviously it's just, this is the point of that, is just to move on to something better,
Some deeper talking point.
No, it's not evil. Nothing
No,
obviously about Orisha is evil. So yeah. Okay, next question.
Okay, so next question from Ernest.
It's a heavy one.
It is a heavy one, but I think it's a question, like all questions can just be answered very candidly. I mean, it is what it is. If you know anything about this religion, it's kind of something that is embraced. So, and I guess we could talk about that as well. The question is, why are animals sacrificed? Go ahead. No,
okay,
go ahead.
So that is always a question that a lot of people have an issue with. Animal sacrifice is a part that it tends to be the heaviest for people to like get on board with or like be okay with and whatnot. People tend to have a misconception also about animal sacrifice and in the way that it's done or how the animals are treated, etc. So to be really honest, that is also something that I feel needs to be left to the godparent and to the house and for your experience. Everybody who eats meat, you are contributing directly or indirectly for the killing of animals and in a slaughterhouse or anywhere else. And many of you who are watching this video are very quick to squash a cockroach or a
pest of some type.
Yeah, a spider or anything like that. So, animal sacrifice is just a part of the religion that has very deep understandings and meanings, and is part of the change and the exchange and the reciprocity of life and ache between priest and Orisha and things and ceremonies, and that is what creates attachments and spiritual bonds between a fundamento and another fundamento of the godparent and the fundamento of the godchild. So the point being that it doesn't matter why animals are sacrificed for different reasons. I'm saying
Very
at that
much
point is that your godparent, your ile, your house is the one that's in charge of teaching you the correct way of sacrificing animals, so that then everybody loses that fear of everything. Most people who start off in this type of religion have that as an issue with themselves, and as they progress into the religion, that just simply gets lifted. That fear gets lifted when they learn the deeper and spiritual meanings of sacrifice, and that they see how the sacrifices are being done. Sacrifices should not be done on camera. They should not be put on Facebook like some people do. They should not be put on Instagram and social medias and stuff like that. That is just simply, regardless, it's just inappropriate to post those things up. But sacrifice is a regular part of life. All of you who are consuming meat are contributing to sacrifice of one form or another.
Well, that in and of itself, eating it is a sacrifice of the animal.
Getting your McDonald's, getting your chicken nuggets, and getting your chicken from Walmart, it's all a contribution, indirect contribution to the sacrifice of an animal. So there are different ways of sacrificing an animal, and there are different reasons for sacrificing an animal, but
Absolutely.
all of it at the end of the day is an exchange of ache, and it's an exchange of energy between one thing, one person, or the other. Everything in life requires sacrifice. Whatever you're doing it as a sacrifice for something else, or you're sacrificing something in order to do something else. But that again, that particular knowledge is only gathered from participating and being part of an Ile, and actually being part of things and looking and seeing when things are being done, so that then those fears are lifted very easily and quickly from beginners.
Definitely, yeah. So, I mean, I guess the only thing that I could really add on to that is everything in this world consumes something to some degree. So yeah, everything consumes just to survive, just to maintain like its current state of existence. Be that strictly from plant-based material, be that from a mixed diet, but we are all taking in a substance in our body, which is this beautiful machine, is transmitting that caloric energy into physical energy that our bodies can like use, and that is literally what we utilize to get from place to place. And I don't think that there is anything. Okay, so I personally have no qualms like eating meat. I love meat. I love steak. And so I've always kind of had that understanding coming into Orisha tradition, and then later Kimbanda and Balo, that the Orisha, just like us, have to eat. And blood is not the only way that we feed the Orisha. It is the most like sensationalized, I would say, in the media. But that in and of itself is just energy moving from one state to another state. The Orisha is in using that energy in your life for the betterment of your life, to remove a sogbo from you, to bring blessings into your life. I mean, those are why
I also have
animals
to
are
add
sacrificed.
to
Yeah,
that,
of course, go ahead.
like he said, blood is not the only way that ache is transferred. There's a lot of cooked offerings, which are called aladimus, and fruit and dry offerings, which are adimus and things like that. But also, I do have to say there that, which is a topic that we've had conversations about before, animal sacrifice has gotten a little too out of hand, with people quickly wanting to sacrifice certain things. There's a lot more people who are very conscious of animal sacrifice and are, one, diminishing the amount of animal sacrifice, but two, there's just a very quick, amongst certain practitioners, but a wide wave, a large wave of other practitioners are going on to the other end. There's a lot of people that are quick to mark a lot, certain animals or certain things very quickly, but there's also a lot of other people who are trying to cut down on the amount of animals, myself included being one of those people, that are being sacrificed. Not everything has to be a rooster, not everything has to be a goat or something along those lines, but sometimes water and what we always say, "Obi omituto," is the best way. It's the best way to go, and sometimes you do need something else that's a little heavier, that's a little more, more potent. Not more potent, because prayer is, I don't know how to describe it precisely, but sometimes you do need something that is simpler, and sometimes you need something that is heavier or more dramatic or more whatever. And at that,
I mean, I feel like if you were to like gradiate them, I feel like the act of, in a westernized sense, like the only reason that like animals are killed is for consumption. In this sense, like the animal is being given not just for the Orisha, but for the person, and like that is like, I feel, the ultimate sacrifice that can be made. It's one of the most powerful, and because it's the most powerful, I don't think it should be used as frequently maybe as it is prescribed in like in divination and whatever.
Yeah, animal sacrifice is definitely something that
it's sacred.
It's very sacred, and it should not be overly used regardless of anything. But yeah,
I mean, I feel like people, because it's, I want to say, it's already established, if that, like as a very powerful form of Ebo, so people know that solution could work compared to like maybe really like letting their spirits have a little bit more freedom in that moment and like really coming up with like an alternate solution. You can always reserve that, and I feel like it's good to have options, but when you don't have options and you just kind of cut straight to that, I mean, I get it on the one hand, and on the other hand, I'm like, I do feel like, we could cut back on that a little bit.
Okay, so continuing with the sixth question from Ernest from Facebook, he asked, what are the tenets of this religions? What are the tenets of the religions?
Of these religions.
Okay, so what are the tenets of this religions? Ernest, we as a religion have basic beliefs. For example, we are a monotheistic, we're a pantheistic and animistic religion. We believe in one deity, one supreme being that manifests in many different ways. But the point being also that besides things that you might read, you may find a lot of information in books and things, but religiously wise, it also boils down to the house and the lineage that you are initiating into of the religion and the beliefs of the godparent that is teaching you and what they're passing down on to you. The basic belief of the religion is you ask the Orisha for health and peace of mind. Salud y firmeza, or salud y paz, is all you ask the Orisha for, and everything else comes with time. Health and everything is just all you come to Orisha for. Orisha is for good. Orisha is for living a happy, fulfilling life. And basic tenets of the religion is to simply love. Everything else will boil down differently between house and house, or it'll have a little bit of differences. But there are different traditions, or there are different basic rules, but that's just too much to cover in just like a video that we're trying to make it as simple as we possibly can make it.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing there, is within all of these, within a lot of the African traditional religions, there's an emphasis on the person's character, developing one's character, making decisions, portraying yourself, your actions in a certain manner that is for your betterment, that is for the betterment of your community, your fellow man. There are a lot of different ways that I guess you could focus your energy within the ATRs, as you will often see that vary between practitioner and house to house, which is why it's very important to really get to know your godparent, because your beliefs need to align with their beliefs. Your direction, your vision for yourself and for how you want to worship your Orisha needs to be parallel to your godparents. And I think that's really important. But that's such a large topic because we're speaking on multiple like religious traditions at this point. Like, I mean, those would be like their own separate like individual videos. I feel it to better answer like that question.
Love and light. That's the basic tenet. So for every religion, be a nice person, be a good priest.
Yeah. So Ernest's last question here is: can anyone practice these religions? The short answer to that, I would say, is yes. I don't think that the deities of these religions place too many like restrictions on their followers in terms of like ethnicity or
gender or identity
or even like other spiritual traditions that you may be like
from the
past that you may be into as well can be incorporated into your ultra practice as well to some degree. But yeah, I mean, anyone can practice the religion as long as you go through the appropriate channels to be able to do that in a meaningful way with the deity that you're trying to have a relationship with. And within all of the ATRs, I would say that begins with divination being done in your name, with you there, in some manner where like you're being spoken to by your godparent or by a priest that is the mouthpiece of the Orisha, that is the mouthpiece of the Impungu, that is the mouthpiece of the Mfumbe, that is speaking with authority in that manner, and that person is giving you the advice of the Orisha. And if you're accepted into that deity's worship, then the answer is yes, in my opinion.
Yes, anybody can practice the religion. It doesn't matter where you come from, the color of your skin, your gender, your identity, your sexuality. None of those things are relevant in Orisha. What matters is what you're coming into the religion for. What matters is what you're trying to seek out of the religion. To be honest, I feel people that are coming in for power and people that are coming in for inner peace. Those are two very different mindsets to have as to why you should come into the religion or why you shouldn't come into the religion. Again, if you're just seeking domination and controlling other people and all that stuff, I would tell you no, you shouldn't come in. If you're someone who's seeking inner understanding, inner power, peace, you really want to grow spiritually, then yes, you're more than welcome to try and, start your things.
Your journey,
we do have protocols, that's what I'm saying. And different houses may have slightly different protocols, but the religion does have basic protocols that every person goes through. It's like a step. You go step 1, step 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then you're something else and something else and something else.
So yeah.
Okay, so next question is from a godchild of mine, actually. We call him Fung Fung in our Ile. And Fung Fung asked, what advice do we have for people that are looking to gain more knowledge on Lukumi, Palo, and Kimbanda? So, out of those three, Lukumi has a lot of material online, on YouTube, on books. Lukumi has a lot of material all over. There's thousands and thousands of people who practice Lukumi, and there's a lot of information that can be gained. But as Fung Fung, who is my personal godchild that I crown myself, knows, it all depends from the house to house and your godparents and the traditions and things like that. Now, when it comes to Palo, you will find some information also on YouTube, some lesser amounts of information on YouTube, on internet, and books on the topic. But there's a lot of practitioners and there's a lot of people who are also initiated into Palo, which goes under the same thing as Ocha, which will differ from Munanso to Munanso, and it will differ from godparent to godparent, what they teach or what they say or what they focus on or how they may do a certain thing, a certain ceremony. But we all do follow, like every Munanso, I'm pretty sure, still follows very the protocols of the Palo Mayombe ceremony, like the basic protocols of it, the same way that Ocha follows the basic protocols of different houses follow the basic protocol of Lukumi and Ocha. When it comes to Kimbanda, there's a lot of information about it on Portuguese, so people may have to translate it. There's thousands of videos on YouTube on Kimbanda. There's lesser amount of books in English that are written in the United States or that are circulating. But there's definitely a lot of information, and also you can find a lot of information online. The same thing applies to Kimbanda though. Kimbanda is a very personalized tradition, and there's a lot of also, Kimbanda is a growing tradition in the United States at this moment, so there's lesser houses of Kimbanda or lesser practitioners or people that are somehow related or in contact with those traditions. And then there's a lot of skepticism also from new beginners that want to go into Brazil or something and go back to the root, which is the same thing that happens also with Ocha, that people want to go to Cuba to get crowned or something like that to try and find more legitimacy to something that should already be legitimate in their eyes to begin with when they're practicing with somebody or going to somebody for information. But either way, the advice for any of those things is you need to find a house, you need to find a person, you need to find somebody who's legitimate, who is practicing those things, who is going to teach you, who is then going to elevate you in whatever one of those traditions it is. All of those traditions are based also from person to person, godparent to godchild, dada to, I don't know, what's it called when you're like the godchild? Dada to godchild.
What is it when you're a godchild?
The point is, you don't follow. The point is that you have to, at the end of the day, you will have to network. You may have to travel, or you may have to have your godparent travel to you. But you will have to connect with somebody who is already involved in those things, who can then initiate you in those things. Somebody who has already received a certain amount of initiations that then can perform initiations for you.
For people coming in.
Yeah. But everything, I always tell people, like, you should, if you're interested in any of those things, research. There's thousands of books, there's thousands of internet stuff, there's a lot of things, but you have to take everything you read, everything you see with a grain of salt. It is for basic information. It is for your expansion of your understanding, but it is there also for your entertainment, so you become more enthralled with it and more interested in it, which makes you want to seek out people more. But you will eventually have to go in any of those traditions, for sure. You will have to go into like an elder's house at some point. Somebody else is going to have to initiate you at some point.
Yeah, I mean that's what I would say there with Kimbanda, and it being in Portuguese. I know, like with Palo and with Ocha, you have much more information like printed in Spanish. So if you're bilingual or you can speak Spanish, then that obviously becomes like a wealth of resources to you as well. Within Kimbanda, because it's Portuguese, not many people speak Portuguese, at least in that sense. And so there I would just simply tell you, there are legitimate houses, terreiros of Kimbanda that operate here in the United States. They may or may not have gone to Brazil to have their initiations done, but I can guarantee you that there are houses that practice Kimbanda. And if you're interested in Kimbanda, I mean, just send me a message. And we can have that conversation. We do have a terreiro here in Jacksonville among the assortment of other practices that we have. And so anyone that's interested in Kimbanda, by all means, like, reach out. I would love to have, like, more conversations on Kimbanda, deeper conversations on Kimbanda as well. So yeah.